Hello! If you are completely new to VR and you are starting your own exploration of this relatively new type of entertainment, then Pimax's VR headset might look quite attractive for you. On paper, these are devices that offer much more than competitors, and if you check Pimax's presentations, it becomes clear. This company is aiming for the future and they can no longer be stopped. But after receiving company's latest device, Pimax Crystal, dreams of an ultimate device are shattered by reality. Today I will tell you exactly what you will get if you buy Crystal, what features company promises in the future, and how Pimax keeps its promises based on past experience. Pimax Crystal is the first headset from the Pimax Reality series, but in it, company wants to implement most of the functionality that will appear in their future flagship Pimax Reality 12K QLED. 12K has been promised for a long time. It was supposed to be released at the end of 2022, but instead an intermediate version was presented, Crystal. It was told that 12K will come at a later date. Get familiar with the phrase "coming later." You will hear it very often from Pimax. But back to the Crystal. Even though the headset is a stripped-down version of the 12K, it has a lot to offer. It combines PC gaming and standalone. It supports its inside-out tracking and using Valve's base stations. It is compatible with both its own controllers and third-party ones. You can change lenses on it, choosing between high-definition images and wide viewing angle. It has eye tracking and hand tracking. But from everything that I have listed just now, today user has access to PC gaming and inside-out tracking. Standalone, base station support, variety of lenses, eye tracking, hand tracking and much more, all this will be coming later. To Pimax's credit, most of what was promised was shown to me during a visit to the company's office in July this year. I'm still hopeful for a full-fledged release sometime later. If you decide to pull the trigger on Pimax Crystal today, here's what you will get. A headset with specs allowing it to work both as standalone and from PC. Standalone software will be released later. 2 controllers, interchangeable lenses, but at the moment only lenses included are the ones with an average viewing angle and a density of 35 pixels per degree. 2 swappable batteries for your headset, you will need to use them even if you want to play from PC, more on that later. Battery charging station with USB-C connector, 1 of 2 types of cable for connecting headset to a PC, with 1 or 2 USBs and 1 DisplayPort, as well as USB hub with a power supply. As I said, standalone functionality is not yet available, and headset only works from a PC. Connecting is relatively simple. You can either plug it directly to the USB port on your computer or use USB hub to give you extra battery life. Why should you use a battery when connected to PC, you ask? We didn't have any choice, will tell you Pimax. According to people at the company, even when connecting via USB hub, the headset doesn't have enough power for the Snapdragon XR2 chip, which is the heart of this headset. This chip is still used for internal computing, even when working from PC. Therefore, a battery is always required. The headset won't even turn on without a battery present. But not everything is bad. When connecting through the hub, the battery lasts for about 5 hours, and without it for about 2 hours. On the plus side, you have 2 batteries included, and the headset has a hot swap function. So, in theory, you can continuously play for many hours, constantly charging one of the batteries, but the fact remains, you will have an extra headache. You start by connecting headset and installing new Pimax Play software, which now replaces the old PyTool. I have been complaining for a long time about the old software. The menus were confusing, it was difficult to find anything without knowing where to look, some text in other localizations was clumsily translated, and some text was going out of borders. Company representative told me that they are very pleased with the new software. It is written from scratch, and according to them, it's now much clearer and more convenient. It all looked new and shiny until I went into settings and saw good old PyTool window open with a new color scheme. All the same confusing menus, but now in new colors. One example of Pi-tool legacy is headsets and room height calibration. Despite the fact that the headset has its own tracking cameras, the software still suggests putting headset on the floor in the field of view of the base stations. New users won't understand what kind of base stations they're talking about, but it's just leftover text from the previous headset models. Let's talk about the jewel of the device – screens. The main piece of the headset deserving praise. Displays are based on unified technology of QLED and Mini LED. Have a resolution of 2880 by 2880 pixels per eye and operate at 90 and 120 Hz, with experimental support for 144 and 160 Hz. The displays support local dimming, which allows you to see blacks as real black, but with limitations. In order to have better black colors, overall brightness of the screens is dimmed down. The backlight is turned off in zones, and if you have a small object such as a light finger, then it will have a halo around it. Otherwise, displays are excellent, with good contrast and have no blur during sudden movements. Lenses are spherical, made of glass, which is not typical for VR headsets, as glass adds to the weight. But according to Pimax representative, because of the glass, the picture comes out so clean and beautiful. There is truth to this. You almost can see screen door effect, dark stripes between the pixels, nor Mura, the effect of color inconsistency, which is what PSVR 2 suffers from. Viewing angle with default lenses is pretty bad. In the software I've been using until today for measurement, I got 100 degrees horizontally and 90 degrees vertically. Such horizontal result is very sad, because past Pimax devices were admired for its huge, more than 160-degree viewing angles. Here you can see my comparison with other headsets. For more detailed measurement of the field of view, I used the VimFov software. I'll leave link to it in the description if you want to measure your own device. Here I got 104 degrees horizontally and 95 degrees vertically, so beware that different software will have different results. In future reviews I will show results from both tools for comparison. The image shows that the picture on the screen has strange bands along the horizontal and vertical lines. It's quite noticeable in the headset and does affect immersion. Here is the same measurement on Pico 4 and Quest 2 for comparison. Next, let's talk about headset itself. Outer shell is quite massive, despite the small viewing angle. According to Pimax, they plan to reuse the shell for 12K, which will have much larger screens, 6K per eye. Plastic feels average, about the level of HP Reverb G2. It's not as bad as it was in early devices of the company, but it doesn't reach the level of Valve Index or Vario Aero either. 4 tracking cameras are located on the corners of the headset. At the top, under your right thumb, you'll find power button and volume buttons. Under left thumb is the IPD adjustment. In future, thanks to the built-in eye tracking, it's promised that headset itself will correctly adjust to your IPD, but for now it's done manually. On the right side, the switch between PC and standalone modes is hidden. Currently only the PC mode works, but beta for standalone has already started. Presence sensor that determines whether you're wearing the headset is located in the nose cap. Only other device that I recall doing that was StarVR. There are connectors for peripherals at the top, at the bottom and on the right side of the headset. Bottom one is used for hand tracking, right one for firmware updates, and the top one is for future WireGig transmitter that will allow you to stream image from PC wirelessly without quality loss. There's also a headphone jack on the right and a pair of microphones on the bottom. Here's the sample from device's mic on the headset. Quite a good mic, isn't it? On the back is traditional rattle for tightening headset on your head and a battery slot. My main issue with the battery, it's very difficult to pull out. The side latches must be squeezed very hard, sometimes with both hands. Could I do a hot swap without taking off the headset? Never. That's not headset's problem. You have the similar issue taking battery out from the charging station. Both headset and charging station have an indicator light that shines all colors of the rainbow. Shame there is no included instructions telling what those colors mean. On my headset, full-fledged speaker headphones were installed, but if you purchase headset today, you will get smaller speakers. Headphones that came with my headset can be purchased separately. They produce decent sound, sufficient for casual game or watching movies. But for competitive gaming, it's better to use external headphones. By competitive play, I mean racing, flying, space and other simulators. You wouldn't be playing shooters like Pavlov, Contractors or Counter-Strike 2 when it will get VR mode, because of the weight and balance of Crystal. Weight problem comes from incorrect balance. I have used heavy headsets a lot. Professional Vario XR3 weighs the same as Crystal, but your neck doesn't get tired using it. Why is that? The balance is calibrated so that the front doesn't outweigh the back. There is a still counterweight and electronics are located close to the face. All that allows to avoid strong inertia when turning head fast. Crystal has problems with balance. The weight of the front is clearly higher, even despite having battery in the back. Due to the massive size, you will be clumsy and your neck will constantly complain. Even with minimal movement, after an hour in headset, I began to feel a clear pain in my neck. I spent one episode of podcast wearing a Pimax headset, and by the end, my neck was very tired, so much that during next podcast, I was already using Pico 4. Problems of weight and balance are the biggest issues of Pimax Crystal. Eye tracking, high field of view lenses, all of that can be added in the future, but balance and weight cannot be changed. Part of the problem is high amount of internal electronics and using larger headset shell than required. It seems to me that with such problems, no one will use Crystal for standalone games for longer than 20 minutes. If you look straight down, the headset starts slipping off the head, no matter how hard you tighten it. With sharp head turns, the inertia of the headset will put a lot of strain on your neck. Headset comes with a pair of controllers. Pimax decided not to invent anything new and made an almost complete copy of the Oculus Quest controllers. I only applaud that decision. Usual arrangement of buttons is welcome. Shame that the straps holding controllers on the hand were not added. Pimax's previous Sword controllers had it, and I miss that for most new controllers. New controllers have decent tracking zones are acceptable, although they are smaller than the Quest 2 due to camera location. Cameras do an excellent job of tracking the headset itself. There are no complaints here either, even with my predominantly white walls at home. One of the unique features of the new controllers is the ability to track all 5 fingers on the controller. At least this functionality is claimed. Currently this function doesn't work, and during my visit to the Pimax office they tried to give me a demo, but unfortunately it didn't work either. What about playing games with Crystal? Meditative flight simulation games, active racing and other games where there is a little head movement are the games Crystal was made for. This is the niche where Pimax headsets were praised. But for now, the device has lost its main feature, a huge viewing angle that has not been achieved by anyone. Currently in headset, the angle is comparable to Pico 4 or Vario Aero, which can be disappointing. Picture itself is very bright, colorful and in some places very dark due to local dimming. You can easily see all the details of objects that you won't notice in most other headsets. And the silhouette of the enemy aircraft will be visible to you before your opponent would see you. For leisure games, in short sessions, this headset is also suitable. Don't expect to have 3-hour sessions in VRChat or Ghosts of Tabor though. After a while you may start blaming yourself for having a weak neck or an irregularly shaped head, or simply not understanding how to wear the headset properly. Don't blame yourself. These problems are not happening with competitor devices. It's all on the headset. Finally, I would like to talk about everything that is potentially coming out for this headset. Everything that Pimax promises will appear in the future. That's finger tracking on controllers, eye tracking and face tracking, auto IPD, foveated rendering in all games, hand tracking module, displays running at 120 and 160 Hz, WiGig system for connecting to PC wirelessly, standalone mode, lenses with large FOV, front panel for base station tracking, front panel for high-resolution cameras for mixed reality, Pimax Power Station, a computer created specifically for this VR headset in a small case. This is a very long list of everything that was promised, and don't forget that now most of the developers have been transferred to working on Pimax 12K QLED headset, announced 2 years ago. But in developers' defense, all features planned will work on both headsets. And the company has already launched closed beta test for standalone mode, 120 Hz and eye tracking. As for hand tracking, high field of view lenses and lighthouse front plate tracking, those will be tested in early September. I will be one of the first testers of the new functionality, so subscribe so you don't miss the video about it. I can see that the main audience for Crystal are either fans of the company who are being called Pimaxians, or someone who has already tried many competitor devices and decided that Pimax can offer them something new, something that others cannot offer, like clear contrast picture or hardware and optics that competitors simply don't have. It's very difficult to recommend this headset for beginners. If you have never tried VR, then the weight and the size of this device might just scare you away. Potentially, if most of the promised features are implemented, the Pimax Crystal will make a great headset. We just need to wait and see. In the meantime, Crystal remains to be a device for enthusiasts, people who don't mind spending $1,600 on a rough diamond, and hope that in the future developers will turn it into a magnificent crystal that everyone around will envy. Thank you for watching, please give a thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't, subscribe so you won't miss next video on Pimax and other devices. Let me know in the comments what are your impressions of Pimax Crystal, and I will see you in virtual reality.